Let's go ahead, speaking of injectors, let's go ahead and look at the scope on the injector waveform for both voltage and current and see if it throws us a curveball, because it's not the normal electromechanical solenoid type of injector. It's not a Huey controlling oil flow, it's a piezo. Well, we got a PC-based lab scope, 2 channels connected to this Mercedes BlueTech, and I back probed one of the injectors we can get to, and I've got an amp clamp around one of those 2 wires going into the injector. So if we look at the pattern on the screen here, and by the way, it really made a difference which way I turned the amp clamp. I turned it the opposite way and I didn't get any signal other than a little hump. Almost looked like current ramping a fuel pump. When I turned it the correct way, it actually came out this way. And in fact, matter of fact, the maker of this particular scope has sample patterns you can click on. And when you click on it, and I clicked on the piezo diesel injector, it went to a page with a lot of data on how to hook it up and what it should look like, and then boom, it makes your scope actually sync up and do an auto settings, which we're looking at right now. The other lead, which is channel B, which is in red, that's our voltage. So we see 3 pulses of voltage going up to, if I can read this over here, about 60 volts, 65 volts or so, all right? And our current, if we look at the peak of it, and that's a lot of conditioning going on with that current, our current is running about 8 amps. And you see, notice it goes up and it goes down below the 0 point. Well, the down is to shut the injector off, the piezo injector off. Up is to turn it on. So obviously on comes before off. I think if you get your amp clamp around the wire really good and you get it backwards, you'll see the opposite. It looks like it's turning off before it turns on. So keep that in mind. And I'm using a 20-to-1 attenuator, of course, on the voltage side of the injector. Those first 2 pulses of current and, of course, voltage are the pilot events. That's conditioning the combustion chamber to be a quieter running diesel. And the third one is the actual main event of fuel. So we're going to go ahead and just rev it up in neutral to about 2,500 RPMs. And then back down. We see a little bit of change, but not a lot. Let's go ahead and put it in reverse and power brake it. Notice I said reverse. You can really see that main event fattening up, and we're looking at about, my gosh, are my eyes seeing this right? 1 millisecond. That's all the longer we are moving these things. We're looking at tolerancers mechanically inside of injectors today, whether it be a modern electromechanical or these piezos of 1 micron. To give you an idea how big 1 micron is, it's about 15 to 80 for a hair, depending on how thick your hair is. So let's say somewhere in the middle, 50 microns for a human hair, 1 micron of precision on some of these injectors. And that kind of explains maybe a little bit also why they're not cheap. They're not free, that's for sure. So we want to make sure we do diagnostics right.